All right.
Namanda, 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 Namanda. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to come to this Joya service, end of year service, and I think it's always surprising. Very nice to see so many who do come to this service. So it's very nice to see. I'm always surprised, and it's a nice surprise. So for today's service and for tomorrow's, kind of streamline things. So I serve as chairperson as well as sensei. So, but I don't play the organ. Okay. So let me go through the service order with you. We're going to have the chanting of the Sambujo on page 24, 25. And after that comes the Hyo Byakumon announcing the purpose of this gathering, this Joya service. The main chant will be the Juseige on page 93. And at that conclusion will be the Nembutsu and the Ekoku. So that will complete the chanting portion of the service. And I will come back again for a Dharma message. We're going to read the Ryogemon. I'll give you the page numbers again as we get to these. And then we can all come up and offer incense. And at the very end, we're going to hit the kansho. So it is our tradition to hit the kansho 108 times, and nobody's counting, so we can hit it. Let's plan to hit it 5 times each, okay? Maximum. Okay. So with that, we'll begin with the Sutra chanting, Sambujo, page 2425, and then the Juseige. Namanda, 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 namanda. Today, on this occasion, at the end of your service, members and friends of our temple have reverently come before me, the Buddha, in memory. With deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, we reaffirm the three homages. Namo Kie Butsu, Namo Kie Ho, Namo Kie So. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Please repeat the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Go
書が菓子上分の妙所長実法空教未書門政府上昇が利用人少年上下主本領私具無常の一生天民史人力現代語無償無才道少女三苦行無罪主役難会一永遠熱し根門永足小悪道通難全宗門高僧上満足異様老実法日願修十期天候恩苦言一種解放像公正苦読法情報大集中説法ししく不要一切物不足習得本観念心上満徳一三概要両仏無下地通覧に不詳感覚営利投資最小損志願薬効果大聖の感動航空書天理東人病芸
Okay, thank you very much for joining in the Sutra chanting. The last service of the year, always try to take a moment to look back on the calendar and think of the so many things that we can be grateful for in this past year, and just reflecting upon the interdependence of life, all of life. So today, we have the Joya no Kane, where we hit the Kansho 108 times, and this is symbolic of the 108 blind passions that we are said to have. And it's kind of a reminder. These are also reminder of our blind passions. So when we wear this, we remember that we have such blind passions, and it's not our job to get rid of them, but to acknowledge them, that we have them. They're part of being alive. We can't get rid of them, no matter how hard we try. So this was one of the key lessons in Shin Buddhism. Okay, and so through that, even with our blind passions, we're able to acknowledge them and to see our true selves. And then in being able to see our true selves in those negative aspects of ourselves, then we're not so entangled or burdened by our self-centeredness, by our ego-centeredness, and through that we're able to live a better, more grounded life. Part of my responsibilities, and we share in this with other temple members, Sangha members, that when someone is not doing so well, we do visitations, and some people are closer. Maybe it's a relative or a family friend that we go and see, and maybe sometimes they are more distant, so you leave it to others. When I'm able to, I try to go and see people, and recently, I was able to see one person, and she was unexpectedly in a care facility and kind of getting frustrated that she was there way too long a time, and you know, not really knowing, just speaking Japanese and not much English, and kind of getting disoriented with where she was. Medications also do that to you sometimes, and so she was not having a good time, kind of irritation, confusion, and so this is kind of a time of suffering, And so she felt that she's going through these difficult times and kind of feeling like I might not make it through this. So I think I'd rather die. I'm old enough, and maybe I'd rather die. And so she is saying this out loud and things, and so people who did go to visit her were concerned about her, and maybe it is her time, or maybe she's just getting really confused and irritated. What could it be? And so, but there would be times when she would get upbeat and able to laugh and smile and things like this. And so recently, Sharman and I went, and some of you know, we have stuffed animals in abundance, right? And so Sharman brought a stuffed bunny to her, and she was noticed right away. So, oh, thank you, and petting the bunny and looking at the face. It had really big eyes, and Sharman tries to make a point to trim around the eyes so they're even bigger, right? So she's really happy to receive this bunny. And so talking about, Sharman used to have a pet bunny, a miniature bunny, talking about that, and the elder lady started telling us about her stories of dog that she used to have. And like many of our families, there's a dog named Chibi, right? So Chibi kind of means like little runt, kind of cute little. And so hers got to be 16 years old and passed away. And so we shared some other stories about pets and things like this. And she mentioned that she had gone into a hunger strike, that she didn't want to cooperate with the care facility, and she went on this 4 days. She didn't take any food, and they were concerned, and friends who visited were concerned. But after we learned about it, we were talking about it just last night, and I fast, right? Like twice a year I fast, 5-day fast at Ohigan time, and it's to cleanse the body, right? And your mind gets clearer and things like that. So afterwards, instead of being concerned about her 4-day hunger strike, we thought that might have been the best thing for her, It cleared out her system, maybe lowered the buildup of the medication that she received, got that food, that lousy food that they serve her, get that out of her system. And so she had maybe more clarity. So maybe this was a better thing for her. Anyway, on the day we went to see her, she's smiling, she's laughing, engaging, and doing all these things. And so we were very, very happy about that. Still, you have concerns, you know, and so we left her on a good note. And so every day is different, huh? We don't know. We'll see again. Her family will be able to come. Hopefully she becomes well enough to go home, and to maybe that will be a much more comfortable setting for her and not so confusing. She'll know where she is. She'll have her own TV, clocks that keep you oriented, right? So all these things are very, very helpful. But you see, as you go through life at the temple, there's good things happen, negative things happen. Young, older, elders, gradually we look in the mirror and we become elders, right? And all these things are kind of ongoing process of things at the temple. This past year we had a few losses. There were about 6 people that had a service here, and I'd like to name them. Last November we had Dennis Tetsushi Nakai passed away, and that's the brother of Daphne Hashimoto. And I remember at his service, you know, he was not well in his youth, and so when he became an adult, he was so caring of his younger brother, of his mother, and you know, clearly it's because he spent so much time in a hospital where he couldn't even be in the same room with his siblings and things like this. And you can imagine, you know, single-digit age child not being able to play with his brother and sister and just being alone. So difficult time, but that impacted his perspective for his whole life, right? Haruko Shintani, Howard's mother, passed away in April. So, you know, every time I collect the mail, I see the donation envelopes by, you know, everyone who's a member here, and I can recognize the names. And Mrs. Shintani has always been so supportive of the temple and planted those seeds in Howard well enough that he could be our temple president a number of times. So, and also in April, Diane Matsuoka passed away, and you know, lots of very nice memories of Eddie and Diane and what they meant to the temple, and can think of them smiling, laughing, walking together, providing rides to the grocery stores for the older ladies of the temple, and being so happy to do so. Mike Kuroki, he was the leader of our Kayo Club. So the singing group, they met monthly and for I don't know how many years, number of years, so many years. And so he was their leader, and they weren't sure if they're going to continue or not after his passing away, but I think they have a plan to continue. And then there's a Helen Ishida. She's not a member, and her niece and her husband came in to make plans, and not being members, you know, she wanted to have a Buddhist funeral service, and so they kind of were familiar with the Oakland Temple, familiar with this temple, and they stopped by here, and the committee was so gracious and welcoming that they wanted to have the service here. And even after the service, they were so happy with how their family was treated, and were just thank you, you know, and felt so grateful and so really appreciative. Even people who are kind of on the outskirts, not being temple members, not being regular service goers, but they are impacted by what we do here and how we carry ourselves and the temple. So this is always touching to see. And then Marilyn Ishida Lu passed away at the end of October, and we had her service not that long ago. So Barney and Marilyn key to our temple, and when she was not well, they would sit in the back, and Barney would always take care that, the breeze is not coming onto her, making her cold, or she had enough cushions and things like that, as she was losing a little bit of weight, and all of these things. And so we had her service as well. So there's 6 services that we had at the temple recently. So I think it's nice to reflect upon them and our friendships with all of them and how they impacted the temple. So also in getting ready for this service, I was looking again at this book by Reverend Watanabe. He was a young minister. He worked in the Southern District, but was part of our Buddhist Churches of America, and he was diagnosed with cancer, and he passed away in 2022. He was only 45 years old, so very young. He's dealing with having cancer, and what can he do? What should he do? And, as a minister, you do these funerals, and you counsel families and people facing death. And so, now it's him, right? So afterwards, he made a collection of Dharma talks, and after he passed away, he wanted this to be put into print. So his parents in Japan completed that part of his wishes, and he had this book of a few of his Dharma talks. And at the very beginning, when he first started as a minister, his family had a temple in Japan, but being a newcomer to being a sensei, a minister, he remembered his first Dharma talk and at a memorial service, and he was doing his talk, and he felt so unqualified and uncomfortable, and maybe felt like he's fumbling his way through it, and no conviction or confidence. So he finished, and he got into his car, and one of the families was coming over, waving him down, and he thought maybe she's going to scold him for telling such a terrible Dharma message, and so he was hesitant for her to come, but she came to the car window, and she was just tearful, and thank you for sharing your story. And so that later, thinking of her and her teary face really impacted how he felt about his position and how he felt about providing these messages for others. And then this other story he shared at the temple, they have this 6 a.m. service that he presides over every morning, and there's one lady that would come regularly to this early morning service, and she told him, listening to the Buddha makes me feel refreshed. So she's happy to come. Every time she has a chance, she comes to the service and makes a point that that's her time, the 6 o'clock service. And so he was always happy to see her come to this service. Maybe not that many come, but she's one of the regulars, okay? So they got to the New Year's Day service, and she wasn't there. So I thought, oh, that's kind of funny. And so later that day, he's called to do a pillow service. And so he went to the house, and he wasn't sure who this pillow service was for. Okay, someone passed away in his neighborhood. And so in Japan, the body is there at the pillow service, and the face is covered. Okay, so even though he went to the house, he didn't know, wasn't sure who this was, and he didn't think it was his friend because he just saw her a couple of days ago. And so he's chanting the Shoshinge, and while he's chanting, her sister came up and uncovered her face. Why did you have to leave so soon? Why did you have to leave me? And that at that moment, he could see her face, and this was his friend that came to every 6 o'clock service. So then he's kind of stunned, continuing to chant the Shoshinge, but feeling a little bit teary-eyed as he's doing this service, as he's doing the chanting. And he's saying that, at the funeral services, we usually read the Gobunsho, the white ashes, and in that it says, in the morning we may have radiant health, be like peach-skinned faces. In the evening, the end of our lives, we may be white ashes after being cremated. We're nothing but ashes. And so he's saying we don't really understand this until it's so close to us. When we go to someone else's funeral, some little bit of distance, someone's uncle, someone else's parent, you feel bad and you understand, but it doesn't hit you, right? When it's your own family, your own loss, it really impacts you. And so this is what he is saying, okay? So the point here at the temple is to resolve this awareness, this understanding of life and death. Renyo Shonin on this side, he asked directly, have you resolved the question of life and death? And this is what we're doing here, okay? So to look beyond our selfish concerns and those kinds of perspectives, and to live with awareness, gratitude, care. So the Nembutsu, when we say Nammo Amida Butsu, it keeps us on point with this perspective. And so this is what we're trying to do. And so to me, funerals, memorial services are a major way to point out this perspective to families, to our members, to share this perspective, okay? So we should each have our own and to have our own plans. I've had talks with even members, and they've mentioned, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a funeral myself. And I just saw, this has nothing to do with funerals, but this has to be, I saw special on Dikembe Mutombo, right? Basketball player, and his signature is, he would wave his fingers and no, right? And so to not have a service, I think people think sometimes, never mind, it's too much trouble. I want to end the don't bother people with something for me, okay? But it's not for you. It's to share this lesson of life and death to everyone, to your family, to your good friends, to share this perspective of Nembutsu. This comes from the service. So if you don't have a service, you are not providing that opportunity for others to learn. Okay, no matter how many thousands of pieces of chicken you cook or selling things in here, no matter how much you help, this is the main thing. So please, you think about it. The funeral is something you should consider and have and be comfortable enough to talk about it with your family, with your young ones, with your kids. They should understand. They should understand, why is this important? And you should be able to articulate this, okay? Because this is what we're doing, to come to this perspective, right? Okay. This is how we know what is important, what is of value, okay? I was looking at the Japanese word isogashi. Means busy, being busy. And sometimes we're too busy to come to the temple, too busy to come to service, too busy to even say Nammo Amida Butsu. I'm sorry, I'm so busy, I should, but I don't. Isogashi. It's a kanji, and isogashi means the mind dies. So when you're too busy, your mind is preoccupied with clutter, something else, okay? The mind dies. So I'd like to say, let's live so that we can be here and not miss our own lives. Be present, be here, okay? Don't be too busy. Know what this is about, and know what perspective you are gaining as you come here. You are the special ones. Not everyone comes on New Year's Eve. So many other things to do. The kitchen is calling you. Your friends are calling you. Your family's calling you. But you come here to listen to the Dharma on the final day of the year. So this is something reminding ourselves, okay, be present, be here, appreciate each moment while we can. Okay. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Are there any announcements today? Yes, I have one. Tomorrow's New Year's service is at 3 o'clock, so if you would like to come tomorrow, we will be here at 3 p.m., okay? Oh, 10 o'clock. This one is 3 o'clock. Okay, yeah, thank you. Rescuing me. This one is 3 o'clock. Okay. Any other announcements that need to be? When we come to Sunday, we're back on schedule. The first Sunday will be our Shotsuki service, also at 10 o'clock. Okay. Anything else? I think we're good. So we're going to open the door here, and we could line up and hit the kansho. After we hit the kansho, we could come and offer incense and file out to the Soksho hall. Okay. So yeah, 4 or 5 times. I think that's a good number. We have about that many people. Okay, thank you. Let's do the ear covers, and then one at a time. You know what?
I'm sure it's gonna be loud. There we go.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Good job. You were. Good job. Oh, do you put on? Oh no. Bring it in. Bring it in there. Oh, there's Kaylin. Wondering where Kaylin is. You could do two more.
Good arm.
You could have done two more. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yours was the loudest so far. My bone's shaking. When you you hit it and I went, oh.
I heard it. Just for 4 days, yeah. I know. You can do it for me. No. Good job. Get your bag.
Hey,